Clues in the Attic, the hidden story behind Herb Baumeister's estate. It was a quiet summer morning in 1996 when the police stepped into the attic of a large brick mansion on the north side of Indianapolis, Indiana. The air inside was thick, heavy, and smelled faintly of decay. Dust floated through the sunlight that slipped in from a small window. For years, no one had entered this space. Not the family, not the workers, no one. But now, after a series of discoveries on the property's grounds, detectives knew this attic might hold the final pieces to one of Indiana's darkest mysteries. As an officer reached for a box covered in cobwebs, something small fell to the ground, a bone fragment. Another detective lifted a second box, and more pieces spilled out, mixed with old photographs and men's clothing. The room went silent. They exchanged uneasy glances. It wasn't just any attic anymore. It was a hidden archive of human remains. Outside, police cars surrounded the 18-acre Fox Hollow Farm estate, owned by a man named Herb Baumeister. Reporters were gathering by the gate. Neighbors stood at the edge of the long driveway, whispering. No one had ever expected this quiet businessman, a husband and a father, to be connected to anything sinister. But what they had already found on his land had changed everything. Just days earlier, detectives had dug up bones from the wooded area behind the mansion, bones belonging to multiple men who had gone missing over the years. Now, inside the attic, evidence was surfacing that hinted at something deeper, something Herb had hidden even from his own family. One detective picked up a small notebook from a dusty shelf. Its pages were filled with lists, dates, first names, and strange notes written in Herb's handwriting. At the bottom of one page, a message was scribbled in red ink. They trusted me. The words made the officer's skin crawl. As the team searched further, they found something else. A collection of videotapes stacked neatly in a corner, labeled only with numbers. No one dared to play them yet, but everyone in that room knew they might reveal what truly happened on that estate. Then came a sound, a creak from above. One of the officers looked up, flashlight trembling slightly. The attic ceiling had another small compartment, a hidden space within the attic itself. Carefully, they pulled the old wood panel open, and inside was something wrapped in plastic, long and heavy. The officer's breath caught. Everyone froze. Could it be another body? Or the missing clue that explained why so many young men disappeared after meeting Herb? Before anyone could open it, the lead investigator stopped them. "We need this documented," he said firmly. "No one touches it until forensics arrives." The attic was sealed off, but the mystery had only grown darker. Outside, the summer sun still shone on the peaceful fields of Fox Hollow Farm, giving no hint of the horrors buried beneath. That attic, filled with dust, bones, and secrets, was about to expose a man whose double life had fooled everyone, even his closest friends. Because years before that attic was opened, Herb Baumeister wasn't seen as a killer at all. He was seen as a successful businessman, a family man, and a quiet neighbor with a strange sense of humor. So how did this friendly suburban father turn his mansion into one of the most horrifying crime scenes in American history? And what really drove him to hide his darkest secrets in the attic? The truth began years earlier, long before the police ever stepped foot on Fox Hollow Farm. Years before the police found bones and boxes in that attic, Herb Baumeister was just another man trying to live the American dream. Born in 1947 in Indianapolis, Indiana, he was the oldest of 4 children, in a normal, middle-class family. On the outside, Herb was polite and quiet. But as he grew older, people began to notice something different about him. In high school, Herb started showing strange behavior. He would sometimes laugh at odd times or make cruel jokes that made others uncomfortable. Teachers saw he was smart, but his mind seemed to wander into darker places. Later, doctors said he might have been showing signs of a personality disorder, but back then, nobody really talked about mental health like they do today. As an adult, Herb tried to live what looked like a normal life. He married Julie Sider, and together they had 3 children. They opened a thrift store chain called Save a Lot, which became quite successful. By the early 1990s, they were wealthy enough to buy the grand property that would later become famous for all the wrong reasons, Fox Hollow Farm, just outside Indianapolis. The estate was huge, 18 acres of rolling green land, a big indoor pool, and even stables. To neighbors, it looked like a picture of success. Herb drove fancy cars, dressed neatly, and waved to people passing by. He seemed like any proud homeowner. But at night, when his family was away or asleep, Herb became someone else. In downtown Indianapolis, police were quietly investigating a disturbing pattern. Over the years, several young men had disappeared after visiting gay bars in the area. Their families said the same thing. The men went out for the night and never came home. At first, police suspected these were isolated incidents, but after a while, they noticed a strange connection. All the missing men had last been seen getting into a car driven by a man matching Herb's description. Still, there wasn't enough proof to accuse him, and Herb was careful. He knew how to keep secrets. Meanwhile, Julie began noticing odd things around their property. She once found a human bone while their son was playing outside. Herb told her it was part of a medical skeleton he had bought for the kids to learn from. She believed him for a while, but things kept getting stranger. Herb's moods became unpredictable. He would spend long hours alone in the pool house or disappear for nights without explanation. The once happy family dinners turned cold and quiet. Then one evening, Julie went up to the attic looking for old holiday decorations. She found boxes she didn't recognize, taped shut, dusty, and hidden behind old furniture. When she asked Herb about them, he snapped, saying she should never go into that part of the house again. That moment haunted her. By 1995, their marriage was falling apart. Julie took the kids and went to stay with her mother. She later contacted the police, mentioning the strange things she had seen and how Herb's behavior had changed. Her words gave detectives exactly what they needed to reopen the missing persons case. But when investigators tried to question Herb, he refused to let them search the property. He became nervous, even paranoid. Soon after, Julie officially filed for divorce. And when she finally allowed police to investigate the estate, what they uncovered would shock not only Indiana, but the entire country. It started with one small bone found near the backyard, then another, and another. By the time forensic teams finished their first day on Fox Hollow Farm, they had collected hundreds of bone fragments, all belonging to young men who had gone missing years earlier. But what really terrified investigators was that they hadn't even searched the house yet. One detective looked toward the large mansion and said quietly, "If this is what's outside, imagine what's inside." The next morning, the search moved indoors and led straight to the attic, where the most chilling discovery of all was waiting. And that's where the real hidden story behind Herb Baumeister's estate begins to unfold. They thought the horror ended in the Wabi-Yabu. But the attic of Fox Hollow Farm was about to reveal something even darker than anyone imagined. When detectives returned to the property the next day, the air inside the mansion felt heavy, like the walls themselves carried secrets. The attic, sealed off after the first shocking find, was ready to be searched again, this time with forensics and video cameras rolling. Everyone knew this was where the truth about Herb Baumeister might finally come to light. The stairs creaked under their boots as they climbed. At the top, a thin layer of dust covered everything. A strong beam of sunlight sliced through the single window, landing on the plastic-wrapped bundle they had found the day before. Carefully, a technician began to cut through the layers of plastic. The sound echoed in the silence. When the final layer fell open, the entire room froze. Inside was not a body, but something far more disturbing. It was a collection of men's clothing, jewelry, and small personal items. Keys, watches, driver's licenses, all belonging to different people. And underneath it all lay bones, dozens of them. Not buried, not hidden far away, but stored just above where Herb's family had once slept. These weren't trophies. they were reminders. It was as if Herb had kept them close, unable or unwilling to let go. Investigators began cataloging everything, matching names from missing persons reports to the items in the attic. One officer whispered, "It's like a graveyard above the ceiling." Soon detectives pieced together what had really been happening on that estate. Herb, living a double life, had been luring young men from Indianapolis into his home while his family was away. In the pool area, where he often invited them to hang out, he turned friendly nights into terrifying encounters. When the victims never returned, their remains were quietly disposed of around the property, or stored in the attic like twisted souvenirs. Over several months, police and forensic teams uncovered the remains of at least 11 men on the grounds of Fox Hollow Farm. But experts believed there could have been many more, perhaps up to 20. Before Herb could be arrested, he fled the state. His car was later found near Lake Huron in Ontario, Canada. Inside was a note. It was long, rambling, and full of excuses. Herb blamed financial trouble and stress, but never admitted to a single killing. Then, not far from the car, his body was discovered. He had taken his own life with a gunshot wound. The man who once appeared to be a successful businessman, father, and neighbor had hidden one of the darkest secrets in American true crime history. After his death, Fox Hollow Farm stood empty for years. Locals said strange things happened there. Unexplained sounds, flickering lights, and voices calling from the woods. Some people who later lived in the home claimed they felt cold spots and saw shadowy figures near the pool room. Whether those stories were real or not, one thing was certain. The ghosts of Herb Baumeister's victims still lingered, if not in body, then in memory. The attic, once filled with bones and secrets, is now silent. But for those who walked through it that summer day in 1996, the smell, the silence, and the chilling words written in Herb's notebook, "They trusted me," still echo in their minds. Because Fox Hollow Farm wasn't just a crime scene. It was a house built on hidden horror, a place where trust turned deadly, and clues waited quietly in the attic for someone brave enough to uncover them. Even today, the story of Herb Baumeister's estate remains one of America's most chilling true crime mysteries. The woods have grown back, the walls have been repainted, but the land remembers. Some say when the night is quiet, you can still hear whispers from the attic, reminding the world that not every monster hides in the dark. Some live right next door.